Hello, welcome to this next exit interview with the one and only Jordyn. Welcome. So sad to see you so soon, but we are glad to talk to you. And always, I am joined by Lilly.
Hello. Welcome, Jordyn. We're sad to see you.
Glad to be here.
But happy at the same time because
Yeah.
you were a great character on this game, and let's just dive right into it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so this was your first game. How are you feeling going into it? Was there anything that really exceeded your expectation, or was kind of you weren't prepared for it all?
So I was extremely nervous. I think I was genuinely shaking the first probably two full rounds. It was crazy, and it's so fast paced. It's so fast paced in the sense that I thought oh, I'm a people person, I'll find someone. Normally I'm good at making at least one solid friend in any group, and I feel I never made one because you're just switched around so much and people are moving in the room and you never get the time with just one person. So yeah, I was not prepared for how quickly things move, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. I thought halfway through, I was like, I can't do this. I'm emotionally drained. So
yeah, I think since it's split up into multiple episodes, a lot of viewers, including myself, forget that it all happens in one day. So when you're getting to the seventh or eighth vote, it's just you're drained and it's exhausted. And I think that does start to affect people's games for sure.
Yeah.
But before we get, well, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said, yeah, it's tiring.
Oh, yeah. But before we get to what happened when you got voted out, backtrack a little bit. So the first kind of vote out for your tribe was fairly, I wouldn't say easy, but you guys came to a consensus pretty quickly. Next time you go to a tribe, wow, sorry, I don't know why I can't speak. The next challenge, you get asked if people want to go on an adventure and you volunteer. Is there a reason why?
I just wanted to be involved. I felt at that point, I think the first one, I did this challenge fairly quickly. So it felt I really wasn't there. And Erik and Landon were doing the puzzle, which took forever, but it just didn't feel you were super involved in that challenge. And then I think the next one was when they picked people to go, and
I don't think you got to it.
Yeah, I didn't get to go for that one either. And Landon and Erik again were the ones that were picking, and I was like, I don't want to just sit around and do nothing. So I think when they're hey, who wants to do it? And our tribe never even thought about a merge. We were oh yeah, guys, we're doing great. We're having so much fun. We're having a good time. And so when they're let's pick the three, I was yeah, I want to do something. I want to be involved. I want to start doing something. Little did I know it's hey, leave the two people you were aligned with, go over here. So.
I love that. And so when you get to figure out what it is, you guys are kind of swapping places. Did you start to panic, or were you kind of excited more to panic?
I think you could see my face. It was just, I was are you kidding me? This is what's happening right now? Because I knew Erik and Landon were staying, who were the two people that I was I feel good about them, feel we could be in a good place. So I was I don't think I ever talked to Sean or Victoria in our group outside of just being in the little, all of us being together. So I was oh shoot, I don't know them. And it's going to be 3 and 3. This is just going to be intense. And then it was hey, this is the hand you're dealt. Let's do it. Let's get it done. Let's get back to Erik and Landon. And then Landon, we're gone.
Yeah.
So you're lucky enough to win the first challenge after the swap. So you have some time to bond with your new tribe mates. Do you feel like that was useful, or do you feel like it was kind of awkward and there were still lines in the sand?
It was nice to have it first, in a sense, because you started to see okay, who are we as a tribe vibing with, rather than they just kind of had to vote real fast. And also, I think we had a respect for each other when it was okay, guys, we got to break up. We got to play the game. Let's go into breakout rooms. But if you think about it, it might have been nice to do it the other way, and you might have formed stronger bonds going forward. We're losing that first one. You get rid of somebody that maybe it's whatever, and then you bond as that more solidified group. So I think there's benefits to both, but yeah, it was really nice just to get to know people and be like, okay, I really am liking Erik. I'm really liking Landon. Like, moving forward, these are people I'd want to vote with. So going into a vote, you're kind of having that idea already. But
Mhm.
Yeah. Was there anyone you were worried about if they would flip and kind of vote you out if you ever got to, or when you got to having to vote someone out the next round?
I didn't feel super threatened in that original tribe just because it was pretty quick, but I felt like I was making good bonds, at least with like Sherry wanted to work with me. And so then Erik and Landon also did. So I was like, okay, this is feeling good.
Mhm.
I was liking Victoria. I tend to like to keep females around, but so I felt like we were okay, but we didn't get to talk a lot one-on-one. So no, there wasn't any initial worrisome yet. The paranoia hadn't kicked in quite yet. So I was pretty fairly calm in that moment.
Yeah, I feel like we could see the paranoia kind of build with you.
Yeah.
Which it happens
especially
to everybody.
especially when you decide to go to rocks.
Yeah.
Let's dissect that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about those rocks. Why?
I think to an extent, loyalty is like my best trait and my worst trait. And I was like, I am ride or dying like for these people now. Like, I barely talked to you, Victoria and Sean, before this, but we're ride or die. But this is staying together. And I wanted to work with the girls, and truly going into that vote, I think I had a whole meltdown probably in the confessional before that, where it was like, okay, the girls could work with us and we say Robbie and it's all done and everyone's voting Robbie. Or they could be just trying to figure out who we're voting for because they have the idol and they're gonna like, I had this whole mental thing, but towards the end of it, I truly trusted that Alanis and Maddie were with us. Like, I was like, we're us three. I was like, listen, if they're not with us, then we're going to Rocks, and I'm willing to go to Rocks because we're putting on a show here. We need it to go well. So, and I just didn't want to lose the minority come merge with knowing Landon had been left out. I was like, I don't want us to be going down numbers even more. Like, let's stick together. Sean was pretty much like, let's go to Rocks. I don't know what that means. Victoria seemed like she was ready for it too. So I think we both truly thought the girls were going to come together and it wouldn't have gone to Rocks, but it didn't. And you know what? It worked out well for us. But if I had gone home, I went home on Rocks, and it's kind of a fun story.
Yeah,
I think you were might have been the other name that was like really close to the wheel hitting, and it was just like, no, we're gonna stop on Maddie.
Yeah, I was like, oh, thank God. Okay.
Would you have ever voted with Sean if Maddie and Alanis kind of said, hey, we want to do a girls thing, but it's got to be Sean first?
I definitely offered that up. I remember offering it up almost as like I'm showing how dedicated I want to be to this. Mm-hmm. I'm glad we didn't end up going with it because I think they would have. Like, Robbie is so on it that like, even though
Victoria would have been going home that round 100% if you and her had flipped your votes to Sean.
Yes. So I was like, something tells me like listen, I'm willing to show loyalty here, but Sean, in my eyes, wasn't necessarily the biggest threat in the world. Robbie kind of really was more outgoing and more seemed like they all were listening to him almost in a sense. And so, yeah, I offered it, but I don't think I would have I wouldn't have followed through with it feeling very good or feeling very settled. I at least knew Sean and Victoria were staying to their word is what they were doing. So I felt more comfortable going to Rocks on that chance.
So you just vote Sean out next round.
Yeah, let's get to that. And you vote Sean out.
No, I got so stuck. I did not want to. I think every voting confessional I went into, I was like, I don't want to vote this person.
Either I don't want to vote them, and I think I'm going home. But I guess it is what it is.
I was just ready at any moment. I was so paranoid. I'm telling you, it was a mess. I was distressed. I did not realize I would be that distressed too. I'm fairly put together in real world.
I think we really see it in the Robbie vote where you're convinced you're the one going home, even though everyone is fairly together on voting Robbie out. Why do you think you start to get so paranoid? Is it because you feel like the other tribe that swapped and voted out Landon, did you feel like they were kind of sticking together and you felt on the outs?
Oh, you felt it so much. Like, I don't think it truly showed how long me, Alanis, and Robbie were in a room together, just us three. And I had a hard time moving. Like, you can kind of tell when people just aren't looking to come around you. They're kind of looking for people to come to them. And I had to be a come to me person, but people weren't wanting to come to me. So you felt it. Like, and especially after the merge, when they came back, you felt that like Danny, Kylie, and Jon were together. They were working together. And Erik, you could tell, was in with them in a sense, where he was always seeming to find himself in rooms with them. And you're like, okay. But yeah, we struggled with the idea of like, they voted out one of our own. Like, they could switch really easily. Meanwhile, I probably should have not been trusting Michael as much, but I don't think I put much trust into Michael either. So,
I mean, you did vote for him, so
yeah, I did.
There's that.
He was disposable to me. He's like, yeah, get him out of here. We're not playing by these tribe lines anymore. But yeah, I truly was like, let's do it. I don't know.
So
If you
your storyline follows a little bit of someone in our second season, Lalamanu Beach, Nikki. She was convinced that this guy Eli had the idol. You are dead set, Jon. He has this idol.
Version of something in my life. I was paranoid about everything except that. I was like, it's Jon.
Meanwhile, Erik's just sitting there like, it's totally Jon.
I know. I'm like, Erik, if you wanted to gain back my trust when you knew I didn't trust you, why wouldn't you tell me that? But clearly it didn't matter that much to him. No, I'm kidding.
So at the merge, if you could have chosen anyone to go home, would it have been Sean or would it have been somebody else?
Oh, 100% would have been somebody else. It definitely would have been one of those three. Like, I'm telling you, I never had my eyes really anywhere else other than Jon. Jon, Kylie, or Danny, because Kylie never spoke with me, like not once. So I knew she didn't want to work with me. And then Jon, the way I looked at it was like those three were like the head of a snake, or like they were a snake. And Jon was the head. So I'm like, let's cut off the head. He was nice with everyone. Everyone loved Jon. When I brought up his name, people were like, Jon? I'm like, yeah, Jon. Are we seeing the same thing? Like, him and Victoria just happen to find each other in rooms a lot together. And I'm like, okay, he is clearly like doing a lot of work. And so those three would have been people I immediately wanted out. But going into the merge, actually, I was after Robbie or Alanis after that Stones vote. So I definitely think throwing out Alanis's name or Robbie's in that moment, I was like, let's get somebody from that original, I don't even remember what their name was.
Maziwa?
Maserati.
I don't know. But yeah, I wanted one of them out so badly. But
and I don't think we would have seen you going here if Alanis had won. I mean, well, Victoria and Alanis. Though that pairing was not your personal optimal pair to go to win immunity there.
I got so excited when they did win too, because I was like, yes, like these are girls I trust. Like, we're gonna get power. And then it like sunk into my head. I was like,
those are also options to be voted out, and now they're eliminated.
In my head, I was like, those are the only other options to be voted out, and now it's me. So like that entire last round, I was like, it is me. We're going fully like, let's do something here. Somebody use me. I'm down to make moves, because I knew, like, I had this feeling that like somebody wants to make a move, but like they just weren't saying anything, or like they all aren't going to the end together. And like, especially Erik and Michael, I was like, I don't know if you guys think you're into like final three with them or something, but like, let's do something here. So yeah.
Had you considered when you were in that room with Jon alone, kind of saying, listen, it's you or me, which means the next person goes next, let's try to get through this vote together? Or
yeah, looking back on that, there definitely was like, I should have strategized that more. It was almost like shocking that me and Jon are alone in a room
for like, so long too. Like you guys, it wasn't just like 30.
And then the other six are just like, yeah, it's the Jays. I know. We're deciding between the Jays.
I know. I'm actually shocked that people were considering it as much as they were. I felt like I was standing on a soapbox and just like screaming into a void because people weren't like playing off of it, which made me realize like it's going to be me. They don't want to hear it, but I'm going to say what I can. Yeah, there's a part of me that definitely thinks I should have been more like, hey, I told him I thought you have the idol. So
Yeah.
I might have, but I didn't think that at that point in time, it was like we were at the final minute or we were in it for 2 minutes, and people just get so mindset on the first name they hear sometimes that's who they're going with. And I didn't think there was time for him or I to come up with a plan to flip enough people and get people in the room. So it's kind of like, you know what? Here it is. But I know there's a part that kind of wishes I would have like aimed at or like said something to him about like, hey, get out there, kid.
Say you both somehow concocted a plan together. Would it have you have tried it to be Kylie because you haven't talked to her?
Yeah, I definitely think it would be Kylie. Yeah.
And she's a strong player at this point, so that would have really changed the game.
Yeah, it definitely. Has proven to be a very strong player. At the time, I didn't understand necessarily what she was doing on the back end. I was so focused on Jon. Yeah, real tunnel vision. I think that might be my downfall.
All right, Robbie's gone. Jon, okay? I'm gone.
I know. I wanted to work with Robbie towards the end, so I was like, "Oh, Robbie's gone." But yeah, I got real tunnel vision on Jon. But yeah, definitely Kylie. Dennie was almost willing to work with me at certain points. Meanwhile, I didn't think he was. I thought he was just trying to be like coy and charming. And I was like, get out of here. But
it's harder to read people over Zoom.
Yeah,
it is. And he kept like, it was the times that he was like, okay, you want to talk? We haven't talked. In my head, he was just trying to like jury management or like trying something because he seemed so close with Kylie and Jon. Sorry. I have a button. So in my head, he just didn't want to work with me either, but yeah, should have listened a little more.
So we hear your final thoughts after you get voted out, and you kind of seem like you would vote for Jon in the end. Is there someone that you're rooting for though, once you get voted out, that you hope is at the end?
Yeah, I mean, if Jon's in the final, I would vote for Jon. I think he's been playing a good game in the sense of he has everyone not even really thinking he's a threat other than they think he might have an idol because I spread rumors. But I would think he's playing a really good game. That's why I wanted him out. And if anything, I'm still rooting for Alanis. Like, I think I really liked her. In my head, she was the person that voted with me. Like, I thought we were doing well together, but no, I still enjoyed like speaking with her, and I get it. Sometimes when you know the vote's going, I've had to make that vote. So I'd love to see like her, Victoria, and there's still always a soft spot for Erik in my heart. You just never worked.
But he picked you in the challenge first.
I know. That's where my heart was like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, maybe I should be trusting Erik. He wants me to get immunity. Like, no, it's too late. If we would have won that, different game
completely.
Yeah, but yeah.
I know if Lauren was here, she would ask this question, so I'll ask on her behalf. Did you have a favorite challenge, and what would it be and why?
I have a least favorite challenge for sure. But,
which one is that?
Which one would that be?
Do you think it maybe is the one that the dice rolling that I had to flag to another room and I just didn't even get to do it? I was like, guys, I
forgot about that one.
And you all were like, oh shoot. Yeah. Count that as a loss. But I think I really liked the first one. It was very nerve-wracking because of the puzzle part, but I did like the cups on the balls on the cup was a fun part of it. Yeah, I feel like I didn't participate in a lot. Now I think about it, but
yeah, because I think you were going to be the flip cup person, but we never got to flip cup.
Oh, I'm so good at flip cup too. Like,
missed opportunity.
I know. Didn't get to show off all of my years of college.
Well, I just have one question I like to ask at the end, but if we have Facebook questions.
Okay.
Jordyn, you've got a lot of Facebook questions here.
You do.
First is from Kylie. She wrote like a mini novel here. So sit tight. Jordyn,
Okay.
first of all, I think you are awesome and I loved watching your game back. You played hard and it was very fun to watch. I want you to know that the only reason I targeted you is because Erik wholeheartedly wanted to work with you, and he let me know it multiple times when we hit merge. That threatened my game because I wanted to be his number one, so I had to get you out. With that being said, do you regret being so sketched out by him for flipping, even though you and the others from your original tribe didn't give him a name, so he had no option to vote with y'all? What made you so convinced you couldn't trust him? Do you think your game would have turned out differently if you focused on working with him as soon as y'all were back on the same tribe?
There's a lot there. Let's unpack it. Yes, I think my game would have been fully different had I trusted Erik from the get-go. There were definitely a few red flags in my head as soon as the merge happened, as far as, well, number one, Jon told Victoria that Erik brought up Sean's name. So in my head, after hearing about the Landon vote and hearing Michael was the one that switched, like, so I'm not blaming Erik for that at all. He didn't know, but we already had Michael, who probably still is going to switch. So like, our numbers are already dwindling. Can we get someone else to join us? I don't know. And then Erik, again, just kind of always seemed to hang out in rooms with Kylie, Danny, or Sean. And so in my head, I'm like, as you're watching people move around, you always seem to find yourself there. Clearly, there's some pull to that. And that was kind of a red flag in my head too. But again, we'd be in rooms together and then one of us would get pulled, one of it, like something would happen. So we couldn't communicate as much as we wanted to. But yeah, there were a few just like little red flags that originally started popping up. And then throughout the game, it just kept kind of happening where he would be in rooms with them a lot more often than he seemed to be interested in working with me, which I would have loved to work with Erik. And it's funny because I never trusted Jon for 1 second, but I trusted him the minute that he said that Erik brought up Sean's name, which doesn't make any sense, but that hindsight is 2020 and I'm in survivor paranoia mode. So yeah, looking back on it, and again, when he chose me for the challenge to be partners, I think in my head, I was like, I think I've been making mistakes and I should be trusting Erik. Meanwhile, watching it back, should have never trusted Michael, but I don't think I did either. So it's fine.
Well, speaking of Erik, he also wrote a mini novel. Jordyn, it was so fun playing with you. Even though we really only got to talk in the first 2 rounds, we always felt like a misconnection with something happening every time we finally almost got to talk. You had a great read on Robbie, and at merge, you put him on my radar as someone who needed to go when you called him a master manipulator. On the vote where you voted Michael with Robbie and Alanis, were you convinced that the original Maziwas were voting Michael also, so Kylie, Danny, and Jon? Or were you just trying to show your willingness to work with them and build trust? Really sad to see you go, and it's been so fun watching you back.
You didn't have to see me go, Erik. I love Erik. Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe it. Me and Erik were just constantly, like, I could tell every time we kind of wanted to work together. Yeah, it was just like constantly passing each other, but never able to form that connection. So I get, because hearing him even say it a few times in groups too, why Kylie would be threatened by that if she has never spoken to me, why she would want to work with me too. But yeah, the Michael vote, we had enough people kind of filter in that we told them we're voting Michael. And granted, no, I never fully thought we had the votes. I was kind of hopeful maybe 1 or 2 wanted to make a move. But again, people that said they wanted to work with me came into that room and decided not to work with me. So like, what can I do about that? I don't know. So no, I never fully thought that they would vote for Michael out. I just didn't have that feeling. But in my mind at that point, I was tired of following the crowd. I was still kind of upset that I voted Sean, even though I could have thrown a vote somewhere else even, because again, I've been talking about—
You could have put Jon's name down.
I could have, I was already saying it, but It was also supposed to show to like Robbie and Alanis, like I want to work with you too. I got burned by you all once before, but I'm down to do this. Like it seemed we were in that room together for so long, but I was like, they're not running off. Like I truly believe what they're saying this time around. And I felt Robbie's back against the wall. I knew Robbie's name was being thrown around. Somebody else had already said it, but I was like, I'm tired of voting out people that you want me to vote out. I'm not hiding behind other people's votes or ideas anymore. And if I'm going down, I'm going down with the fight. So like, let's throw Michael's name out there, whatever. And if the multiple people that came in heard it and wanted to go with us, let's go. Let's do this together and let's flip the switch here. Because in my eyes, I thought everyone saw what was happening and who was controlling the game. And I was tired of that. I hate other people controlling me. So yeah.
Our next question comes from winner of season 3, Brett. Jordyn, you played a great game and I actually want to be your BFF. I saw in the episodes that you believed Erik was a flipper. Do you still think that after watching this over, it looked like Michael was the flipper and you blamed Erik?
Yes. I mean, I definitely blamed Erik probably more than I should have at the beginning, but mainly because Jon's saying that he threw out Sean's name, and we knew that Michael was the one that flipped on Landon in that vote. So like never blamed him for that one as much, but I was just getting the feelings that he was getting very close with Danny, Kylie, and Jon. And there was a part of me that was hesitant to trust that, considering I wanted them out. And I didn't think necessarily Kylie wanted to work with me. She never spoke with me about strategy or anything. Danny tried, so maybe. But I couldn't see myself being extremely welcome into that if people weren't willing to talk game with me too. So yeah, I don't consider him a flipper. I love him. And watching it back, I definitely feel like, there's a little bit of egg on my face. Like he definitely was trying to work with me and he did trust me. And I was just fully like, but I think I've learned from this game, I might have a little bit of trust issues with men. So it's fine.
Well, speaking of learning what you learned from the game, Ian asks, Jordyn, Chuck, I was so excited to have you casted and see your game unfold. What do you feel like you learned about yourself while playing? What is something you would adjust in your game to improve it if you were given another go?
Yeah, so I had no idea I would get as emotionally attached to like vote outs as I did. I think even whenever I knew, like, didn't care necessarily if the person was staying or not.
It's hard.
It is. And I think the hardest thing in the world is to sit there at tribal and like know in your head that everyone's voting for someone and they're answering a question and you're just like, so sorry. So like, that's why I appreciated Jon so much for just being like, it's you. And I mean, I think it's good jury management too, just be like, so like, I didn't sit there being like, maybe people rallied around me. Like, no.
Yeah, it's that waiting for everyone to cast their vote where it's like, is my alliance actually working with me? Are they not? Can I trust these? I'm pretty sure I can trust these people, but
yeah. So I truly didn't think I'd ever get that emotionally invested. I didn't think I was this paranoid of a person either. So that's fun. But if I did it all again, I think I would try and talk a little less. I don't think I talked too much, but I think I shared strategy with anyone and anyone that wanted to listen. And I think maybe that wasn't the best idea sometimes. So I know I was in a room with Danny sometimes and then he would just leave. And I was like, go tell Jon, it's fine. So I think I'd be a little more careful about that. And I would update my Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, always a good idea.
Keep my Zoom updated so I can jump around.
Anthony, Alanis' dad, asks, enjoyed watching you play. After Jon warned you to play your idol, if you had one, right before Tribal, any thought to blow his game up at Tribal to everyone by telling them what he told you? He potentially risked one of their games if you had an idol to play and picked one of them to go. Just curious. Great game. Always had a smile on your face.
So there was a moment that I considered just being like, because Jon told me, and it was after Lauren had asked me why I feel insecure. And I think I said something like, if you feel secure, you're doing it wrong or something. But I there was definitely a thought when she was like, why do you feel insecure? It was going to be like, oh, Jon told me I'm going home. Or like, or just saying something along the facts of like, somebody let me know that it's me tonight. And like letting them know, like, I don't know. But I just also, I don't know. I kind of at that point was like, you know what? Jon's playing a good game. He got me. Kind of think I'd be into seeing him win. Like, let him manipulate all these people. Let him keep getting one over. So I was kind of like, you know what? I'm not going to blow up his game.
Let's see what happens next.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I just felt like I put everything out on the table during this Zoom meeting beforehand. So I'm like, you know what? I mean, they all think, I already told them Jon has an idol. So if anything, I already put like a little bit of a
hit on him.
target on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Robbie. Jordyn, it was fun to play with you. The fact that you could join Alanis and myself after going to Rocks against us shows your willingness to do whatever it takes to win. After the Sean vote, you immediately became extremely worried about being blindsided. Was there something specific that made you feel targeted, or do you chalk it up to good old survivor paranoia?
I would definitely say 50-50. I was very paranoid, but I also kind of saw in my head like a list of like the checking people off the list type of deal. So Sean, in my head, I was in the same group as Sean in the sense of there were 3 of us that were flipped from one tribe to the other tribe, and they picked Sean out of that. So it's like, okay, maybe it seems like they're going to be just picking off maybe those original 3 people. And so it started to feel like my name was coming to an end here. And I also was not very happy with the Sean one. And I think I would kind of made that, I didn't put up that big of a fight, but I was just kind of like, I don't want to vote on Sean, like, but eventually did anyway. So if anything, it kind of showed where I stood more so, but I think that, and then again, just paranoia, because I felt like Robbie in the same situation where he was talking about like people weren't willing to talk to him. I started to feel that way too. People weren't necessarily, not to the extreme that Robbie was going through, but I was in that room with him for a long period of time. So, I mean, it could have been because I was with Robbie that I was feeling those emotions, but I felt my name coming to an end, if that makes sense. So yeah. I'm like, you gotta start fighting. Let's start.
It might not be this vote, but it could be the next one.
Yeah, it felt like it was coming up in like, okay, we got a few votes left. We got to start doing something here.
Yeah. Danny asks, what would you say is your biggest regret of the game? With Sean commenting, besides voting out poor Shawnee, of course.
Oh, I still do feel so bad about that because I'm like, who cares if he got one extra vote?
Loyalty.
Either way, I know. You just feel bad. It's like kicking like a toddler or something, you know? It's just like, he didn't need it. But I think my biggest regret, honestly, was probably when Danny was reaching out, not believing it more, because getting in with at least one of them, I think would have allowed me to possibly break it up even a little bit more, gaining his trust a bit more. Maybe he would have voted Jon with me then, but either that or Erik. Erik's always a regret. I mean, hey, I was wrong, but happens. So yeah, I wish I would have taken Danny a little bit more seriously. I truly just thought he was doing jury management, trying to be like, how are you doing? What's your gameplay? What are you thinking? Just to get information. I didn't realize he actually wanted a Final Four with me. Like, that could have been, you could have said that.
Yeah. He blatantly like said it to Erik. So like,
guys, get me in a room. And then they're both complaining about voting me out. I'm like, guys.
We have a comment here from Celestina, the runner-up of last season. No, so sad to see you go. You had the best energy and you are an icon. I'm obsessed. Feel proud of yourself, Queen. You played a great game. I appreciate you not being afraid to say a name and try to make moves. You had a fun spirit and it showed. I will miss your spirit. And then our last question comes from Sean. In your opinion, who would win in a fight between grilled cheese and a taco?
See, I thought about this after seeing that, and I think it depends on a hard shell or a soft shell taco, and if the grilled cheese is cut in half. because if the grilled cheese is cut in half, we got a 2-on-1 situation, so grilled cheese. But if it's a hard taco situation, they have an armor. I think they're more likely to win than a grilled cheese not cut in half. And I think flour tortilla is at the bottom of this.
Interesting, because
what a detailed answer.
I would think hard shell taco would just like break really easy.
That's true too. Yeah.
We'll see. Is it the one that stands by itself? Because they're a little sturdier.
I see so many variables. You did not elaborate enough for that.
You need specific guidelines here, Jon. Get back to Jordyn and she can actually like flesh out her full answer.
Yeah.
But that is all of our Facebook questions. Lilly?
All right. So we like to end every exit interview with the same question. And that is, what, if you could sum up your game in one word, what would it be and why?
Mediocre.
Oh, no.
No.
Not at all.
No, I'll change it. I think maybe just paranoid. Honestly, I think my paranoia got the best of me. But yeah,
either that or laggy. One of the two.
100%. It's so funny. I said I would be either really good at this or really bad at this, and I ended up like 50%. So I'm like, it really, maybe I'm.
I think without that lag, you would have definitely placed a lot higher in this season. I think we see you going to that Final Four spot.
Oh, I know. If I could have bounced her out. Oh, it's okay.
Well, who knows? We might see you in the future. Who knows what the future holds? So
let's do it.
Well, that's it for us here interviewing Jordyn. But you can follow us on all forms of social media. We have Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You'll get to see secret scenes that aren't shown in the episode over on TikTok, and on Instagram. You can ask the contestants questions if you want to have your question read. If you have things you need to know about these episodes, Facebook is where it's at. Otherwise, keep on viewing us here on YouTube, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye, everyone.